If you ever looked at your bank balance, your savings, or your pension and thought, is this actually enough? You're not alone. When I saw the standard guideline pension figures, I practically fell out of my chair. Hi everyone, welcome back. I am Naho, and this is Am I Too Late? After these first few episodes and all the feedback you've shared, it really feels like I'm talking to you now, not just chatting to my laptop, and I love that. And if you've just jumped in today, you picked a good one. Last time, we talked about making sense of your numbers, working out what's coming in, what's going out, and spotting those sneaky lifestyle creep habits that can eat into your savings. Today, we're tackling one of the biggest and most personal questions in finance. How much is enough? Not just the pound figure in your bank account, but what enough really means in your life and how to figure out your version of it. Because enough is personal. It's not just a number, it's a feeling. It's about how you want to live and what really matters to you. And it changes depending on your lifestyle, your values, your health, your responsibilities, your goals. What feels like enough to you might look completely different from somebody else's version, and that's okay. Some people want a slower pace and simple comforts. Others dream of flexibility and travel. Some want to make an impact through creativity, causes, or caring for others. And the thing is, most of us never stop to define it. We're taught to save, invest, hustle, but no one really asks, what do you actually want your life to feel like? A friend once asked me, what does success look like to you? And then challenged me to actually put numbers to it. Lifestyle, travel, work flexibility, all of it. It was surprisingly clarifying. Even those numbers change later, at least you're aiming at something. There's this idea in The Psychology of Money, a popular book by Morgan Housel, that one of the hardest financial skills is getting the goalposts to stop moving. And yeah, it's true. You earn more, your life gets a bit nicer, and suddenly what used to feel like plenty just doesn't anymore. But that shift isn't the same as having ambition. Wanting more freedom, more security, more joy isn't a bad thing. It only becomes a problem when we chase blindly without ever stopping to ask, what do I actually need? And maybe more importantly, what does enough look like and feel like on your terms? Okay, so now that we've talked about what enough can feel like, let's get into the numbers that really made me sit up. Because this next bit is the part that actually shocked me, and I think it might hit you too. According to the Pensions and Lifestyle Savings Association, PLSA, if you're expecting to get the full UK state pension, which is just under $12,000 a year, you'd need a pension pot of, are you ready for this? 390,000 to 490,000 for a moderate lifestyle, and around 650 to 820,000 for a comfortable lifestyle. That's for a single person household. Yep. That's the number that made me practically fall out of my chair. I was like, what? Is this for real? Do I really need that much in my pension pot? I've only got about $6,000 in there right now. Am I seriously the only one this far behind? Does everybody else already have pots like that? The figures are slightly better if you're in a two-person household though. Around 400 to 500,000 for the moderate lifestyle. and 720 to 900,000 for comfortable. And remember, that's the total for 2 people, so the amount per person is lower than if you live on your own. So yes, turns out there are some perks to living with someone, even if they leave their dishes in the sink and never take out the washing. Anyway, if you want a simpler, back of the envelope way to check this for yourself, there is a rule of thumb that says you need roughly 20 to 25 times your desired annual income in retirement. That's income on top of the state pension. So if you'd like an extra £2,000 a month, so that's 24,000 a year, you'd aim for around 480 to 600k. And if you'd be happy with an extra 1,000 a month, that's 12,000 a year, meaning 240 to 300,000. It's not an exact science, but it's a handy way to get a sense of the scale, and you can tweak it to suit your own plans. So what do you think? Are you shocked? Surprised? Or is it just me? Surely it's not just me, right? I needed to know if I was completely off track, so I looked up what most people actually have in their pension pots. While those guideline numbers might feel huge, the latest figure from the Office for National Statistics, ONS, shows the median pension pot for people aged 55 to 64 in the UK is around £87,000. Women's pots are typically smaller than men's, often by tens of thousands, because of career break, part-time work, and the gender pay gap over the years. The median is the midpoint, meaning half of people have more and half have less, and this includes those with no pension savings at all. That is still a lot more than my teeny tiny pot, but it shows that most people aren't anywhere near those ideal targets either. The gap is still there, and it's big. If the minimum target for a moderate lifestyle is 390,000 and the median is 87,000, that's still a gap of over 300,000. That's huge. Do you feel a little better now that you know everyone else is in the same boat? No? Me neither. But this isn't the time for panic. If you're feeling panicked, that's completely normal. I did too. What matters is that we face the facts and start doing something about it. And if you're feeling calm, maybe even a bit smug, then good for you. Honestly, well done. That means you're doing way better than most people, and you should be proud of yourself. Keep going and keep doing what you're doing. For those of us who are still in shock, let's take a big breath and start thinking about how we can break this down and move forward. Instead of fixating on one perfect number, try thinking in tiers, 4 different levels you can work towards step by step. Number 1, minimum lifestyle. You can get by, mostly covered by the state pension, but your choices are very limited. You might need to rely on benefits too. For this lifestyle, aim for a pot of 58,000 for one person. For a couple, technically no additional pot is required at this level. So if you get to age 67 and you're still stuck, maybe it's time to find a friend and team up. And number 2, moderate lifestyle. A decent, no frills life with some flexibility. This is where many of us want to aim first. Aim for a pot of 390,000 for one person or 400,000 for 2 people. Number 3, comfortable lifestyle. Room to enjoy life, travel a bit, say yes more often, and have breathing room. Aim for a pot of 650,000 for one person or 720,000 for 2. And number 4, the dream lifestyle. This is your ideal life, whether that's living abroad part of the year, helping family, having work flexibility, or pursuing creative goals. Aim for 1 million to 1.5 million, or more depending on your dream. This framework gives you a ladder and permission to start wherever you are and move upward. And maybe your version doesn't quite fit into these four. If minimum feels too tight, but moderate still sounds out of reach, make your own in-between tier. This ladder is here to help you get clearer, not box you in. What matters is finding a version of enough that feels real and working toward it in a way that's sustainable for you. Even if the numbers still feel big, you're not expected to get there overnight. We'll figure this out together, step by step, in future episodes. This podcast isn't just about information, it's about reminding you that it's still possible to build something for yourself, even if you're starting late, and that you're not doing it alone. And here's something to keep in mind. Remember that idea from earlier about the goalpost always moving? This is where it shows up again. You might start out aiming for moderate, but once you get there, comfortable starts calling. And then maybe one day, your dream version starts to feel within reach. That's not the same as moving the goalpost. It doesn't mean you're being greedy or ungrateful. It just means your idea of enough is evolving. And that's natural. That's growth. The trick is to stay intentional and not to chase blindly, but to check in with yourself along the way. And when you hit a milestone, even if it's just reaching moderate, celebrate it. You don't have to keep climbing just because the next tier exists. And you might reach your enough well below the so-called guideline number. And remember, you don't have to get there from just one source. Some people build it through workplace or private pensions, others through rental income investments or part-time work in later life. For some, it's about unlocking money tied up in their home by downsizing, relocating to a cheaper area, or even moving abroad to somewhere with a lower cost of living. Okay, we've looked at mindset, real numbers, and what enough can feel like. Hopefully by now, the big scary question, how much is enough, feels a bit more grounded. So here's your next homework. Try answering these questions. What does a comfortable life look like to you? What would you love to do without guilt, stress, or overthinking it? What number or range would give you that feeling of security and freedom? Take a moment to sit with those numbers because they might surprise you. And now you have something to work towards. Your own milestone or milestones, not anyone else's. And as you think about that number, consider all the possible ways you could get there, whether from income, savings, assets, or lifestyle changes. There's no one right path. It's about finding what works for you. And to make this easier, I've created something new for you. It's called the Dream Life Calculator. It's a simple tool that helps you put real numbers behind your lifestyle. You can use it to check the cost of the life you're living right now, or to play around with what your dream version might look like in the future, even in retirement. Because retirement isn't really about age. It's about a number. Once you know your enough number, freedom starts to feel a lot more possible. I've opened this up for free to my early listeners for a limited time. You'll find the link in the show notes, so you can give it a try and see what you discover. And just one last thing. I want to say this was one of the episodes I was really looking forward to recording, because this is the realization I want more people to have. I know it's a lot. It can feel overwhelming, like you just want to know it all and hope for the best. That's exactly why I am making this podcast. I want us to be awake to what's coming, not just drifting through it. Deep down, maybe our parents or teachers tried to warn us, but we just weren't ready to hear it. And now I'm not here to lecture or push. I just want you to want to do this for yourself. Don't forget to follow or subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening. It really helps more people find the show and make sure you don't miss what's coming next. We've talked a lot about pension pots in this episode, but for many of us, pensions still feel like a bit of mystery. So next time we're going back to basics. What pensions are, how they work, and how to get started, even if you feel like you've left it too late. If anything in this episode made you think or gave you a bit of a push, come and let me know. I would love to hear from you. Find me on Instagram at Am I Too Late Podcast. You can find the link in the show notes. I will also put these numbers in there so they are easier to see and digest. Thanks so much for listening. And remember, you are not too late. You're here now. And that's what matters. See you next time. As always, here's the disclaimer. Everything I share here comes from personal experience and learning. This podcast is for information only and isn't financial advice. Please do your own research and talk to a professional financial advisor to find what's right for you.